So, we're forgiving David Dobrik today. I want to say that all the things David Dobrik has done, I think, are actual crimes and should be investigated by the police, but I try to find the common humanity in people, and I believe in unconditional love and forgiveness. And I think that if we look for the common humanity and forgive each other for the mistakes we make, it raises the collective love in the world and just makes the world a better place. David Dobrik used to be my favorite YouTuber. When the stuff came out, I was really confused and angry, and I don't even know what he's doing these days, but his cancellation is like one of the most public and really divisive cancellations on YouTube. I thought that it would be a good opportunity to practice unconditional love because, yeah, I mean, he was my favorite YouTuber and, still is in some ways, so it would be fun to watch. Also, why are you guys subscribing? I keep telling you not to subscribe, and you keep subscribing. We crossed 700 subscribers, and I'm furious about it. Why? Why? Let's do this thing.
Hey guys, it's David. I want to come on here real quick and address some conversations that have been going on the internet. I've made over 600 videos, and I've made a bunch of TikToks, Vines, Instagram stories, tweets, the whole thing.
Yeah. He was like, it was incredible, the stuff that he was doing on YouTube at the time. Like, he was posting 3 videos per week. They were all like movie level editing. It was so amazing, genuinely. If you guys haven't seen his videos, they're so incredibly good. And this does not excuse any of the stuff that he's done. He's like kind of trying to set it up that like he's done a lot of stuff, but I just want to give him props. Like, David's content still in 2024 is some of the best content on YouTube. And if you haven't watched it, especially if you like comedy, you're going to love his videos. But, he messed up. And this is the first time that he's trying to address it. It's a little messy. We'll see.
And I'm obsessed with what I do. I love being able to make people happy for a living. And that's all that I want to do.
And that's really something that I believe. I think that people really drag David's name through the mud sometimes. They act like he's like this total horrible person. But if you see him in the vlogs, he is genuinely happy. And I think he does genuinely enjoy what he does. Like, I think that he's a little naive and a little insensitive, but as a whole, he gets so much love from YouTube, and he got, at the time, so much love for making his vlogs the best that he could possibly make them. And yes, he was imperfect, he was young, but I believe him when he says that he's obsessed with what he does. Like, you can see it in the videos. Like, you don't get to where he is without being obsessed. Like, actually, his obsession is really inspiring to me as a creator because it just shows he has like a world champion mentality when it comes to YouTube. That being said, I think what happens to these people who have the world champion mentality is they get tunnel vision, they kind of ignore stuff. And we're going to hear about that just now.
That being said, consent is something that's super, super important to me. Whether I'm shooting with a friend or shooting with a stranger, I always make sure that whatever the video I'm putting out, I have the approval from that person.
Yeah, I mean, I believe him when he says that too. I think that like maybe his definition of consent or his understanding of like what jokes or what sorts of situations are okay when he has like, I think at the time he had like 12 million subscribers and like he was like the most famous person anyone who we talked to would meet probably. I think that like it just gets tricky, but he probably did actually get consent for a lot of the stuff that he talks about in his videos, but it's just like the consent might not have, like he might have gone about it in a different way. But I actually do, like, when he's talking, he sounds sincere. Like, he doesn't sound like he's trying to cover anything up. He just sounds like honestly, he looks really sad in this clip. Like, he sounds like a scared kid who's just, like, in over his head and, like, for good reason. Like, he basically lost his career over this. Like, he's making good money now, but, like, he's nowhere. He used to be on the top. Now he's not on the top anymore. And this whole thing kind of did kill his career, so he's scared of what ultimately did happen, and that is, like, even though he did bad things, that's something that we can all empathize, I think. Like, our career, like, what we do is so important to us. Like, I don't know what I would do if I couldn't do YouTube. Like, that would be so hard. And so I can really understand the fear that he's feeling, and I can understand that he's trying to get ahead of this in a way that kind of solves the problem so he can go back to being loved again. And I think that he's acting completely out of motivation for his own happiness, like motivation for his own what he loves to do. And to be honest, he did make people happy with his videos. So I'm not simping for David, but like he sounds very sincere here.
And I also acknowledge that there's times where a person can change their mind and they decide that they no longer want to be associated, they no longer want to be in the video that I'm putting up. And then I'll take the video down. And there's also been moments where
I think that makes sense. Like, I think that it has to do with like the power dynamic thing I was talking about. Like, I can imagine how much time and effort he puts into the vlog, and just like to have somebody like ask him to take it down must be like really difficult. But the fact that he still did that every time anyone asked him shows that he kind of has his heart in the right place. Like, it's not like people are asking him to take stuff down and he's not doing it. Like, there was no reports of that when the stuff came out. And I don't want this to be a drama video. I genuinely am trying to see his humanity, but I just want to underline the fact that, like, I'm not trying to take a side here. I'm just trying to empathize with David's humanity because he is a human being. He's not like a robot.
I've looked back on videos and I realized that these don't represent me anymore and they're hurtful to other people, and I don't want them up because I've grown, as a content creator and as a person, and I don't agree with some of the videos I've posted. With the Seth situation,
Yeah, I mean, this is the first situation he's talking about now, but just based on what he said, like, I do think that is very real. Like, you grow as a person, and then sometimes like your art doesn't represent you, and it's got to be hard to be just in the public eye all the time and just have like stuff from when you were like, before he got famous when he was like 16 or something. So like have stuff from a long time ago resurface and it just doesn't represent him. And like, yeah, like we've all done something cringy in our past. Not all of us have had the cringy stuff in our past broadcast to 20 million people. Like, that is very unique to David's situation. And people like David, I always compare to child stars, because even though he wasn't a kid when he got famous, like, he basically was a kid. And the amount of time and dedication and effort it requires to get to the top of YouTube, basically he was like a baby with a skill at making good content. So I'm not saying he's off the hook for what he did. Definitely made bad decisions, but he seems really lost here. Like, his expression is really closed, and we've all been lost, I think. And like that sounds like it's really hard. And I remember at the time people were really flaming him for this. I think maybe it's in the second half, but so far it seems like he's trying to be sincere. I remember there was this YouTuber who was really going hard trying to cancel him, who had this whole 2-hour video where he was just like disagreeing with everything. And I think everybody saw that video instead of this. But so far, David seems to be doing his best to meet people where they are. So I'm just going to rewind earlier.
With some of the videos I've posted. With the Seth situation, I'm sorry to Seth, because like I said, I would just want to make videos where everybody in it, whether you're participating or watching, is enjoying and having a good time. And
so the Seth situation is basically a prank he did on this other YouTuber named Seth, where the prank was they pretended that a certain girl in their friend group, Corinna, was under a mask when really it was an old man named Jason. And so Seth was doing a gay kiss with an old man that he thought was like a hot girl. And he did this twice. And people were calling it sexual assault, that like Seth thought that he was like kissing somebody and he ended up kissing somebody else. And I think that it is like kind of a scummy thing to do. Like, it's just like weird and it's kind of gross, and also just like, yeah, like I don't want to kiss a guy if I think it's a girl, you know what I mean? It's just like odd. But or not even but just like, and it seems like he's genuinely sorry about that, and he did take the videos down and stuff. So I don't know. I think like it's hard when a video has like 20 million views for you to like recognize that like it will be a better move to take it down because like it's bad. Like it's really an odd situation. And I think that I don't remember Seth's response video, whether or not he asked David to take the video down, but based on what he said so far, it seems like he would take the video down if Seth asked him. I think now the reason why the video is down, though, is because people were saying that it was sexual assault, not necessarily that Seth wanted the video down, which is like a whole other thing.
I missed the mark with that one, and I'm really sorry. I truly, truly am.
That actually seems real. It's funny, like, when he was getting canceled during COVID, like, I didn't believe him when he said that, but, like, I believe him. Like, it seems like he genuinely fucked up, and he's sorry that he lost a relationship with one of his friends over a stupid joke, and also that he might lose his career over it. It's like, that actually seems real. So,
and with people in my life that I don't film with anymore, like Dom and the other people that I no longer film with, I chose to distance myself because I don't align with some of the actions, and I don't stand for any kind of misconduct, and I've been really disappointed by some of my friends. And
so this is him trying to talk about the sexual assault situation from his friend Dom on a girl that people in his friend group gave alcohol to. And basically what happened was the girls showed up to the apartment because they wanted to be in David's video, and they were underage. They ended up underage drinking, and then one of David's friends sexually assaulted the girl. David did not sexually assault the girl, but David is the reason the girls were there. And so David's in trouble for like covering it up, basically, because they kind of knew that something happened and that sort of thing. But I think at the time he didn't want more people to know about it, and he's talking about it in such a way that doesn't acknowledge what happened. And so a lot of people were confused as to what he meant, and I can see where he's coming from. Like, he probably has a PR team and like tons of people telling him like, come on, man, like you can get out of this if you just talk about it in a vague way. But he got really raked over the coals for this. And to be honest, compared to his initial apology for Seth, this feels less genuine to me. And I think it's just because he's scared. Like, he does seem really scared in this video. It's so weird to see, because usually in his vlogs, he's like a really happy, fun version of himself. And now he just like seems terrified, and for good reason. So I can definitely empathize with that. I mean, I've been terrified in my life of various things. Like, that feeling where it's like you just like your breath quickens, and it's just like, it's really tough. And like, it's not excusing what he did, like, but we've all done bad things, right? And like, we all want to keep them private, and if it doesn't happen, like, that's really hard and scary. And even if we deserve punishment, like, that's a hard experience to go through. And like, I know this isn't the end of the first video, but I do forgive David, because I don't think that he meant to harm anybody. I think he just meant to make videos. Like, I see the kid in him still. He meant to make videos and didn't understand how powerful he was, basically. And so all the people like calling him a cult leader and a manipulator, I don't think he's a manipulator. I think he's just somebody who loves to make kind of edgy comedy videos that sometimes go way too far and cause hurt for people. And of course, like, the situations are horrific. And the people in those situations, all of them, did bad things, including David. But it doesn't mean that they're not human. And for David to like be a better person for real and not be like hiding or like doing whatever he's doing now, we kind of need to make it clear to him that we'll forgive him if he actually admits. Like, the thing that I don't like about cancel culture is nobody's really the same after getting canceled. Like, even if you apologize, even if you do all the right things, you're not the same. Everybody remembers. And also, it's like somebody is apologizing to a bunch of faceless people. Like, that's why I show my face in this channel. It's like, I think that that's not fair. And I think that all of us, when we want to apologize for something, deserve to have somebody listening to us and seeing us. And even though David messed up, I think that David deserves compassion. Okay, let's keep watching.
And for that reason, I've separated from a lot of them. I think with any video I make, my main purpose is to make people happy and inspire people, and I never want anything to get in the way of that. And I'm sorry if I've let you down, and things like that won't happen again. And I learned from my mistakes, and I also believe that actions speak a lot louder than words. And, you can take my word for it that I'm going to change, but I'll also show you and I'll prove to you that, the mistakes I made before won't be happening again. But yeah, that's it. All right. I love you guys. I'll see you later.
That's so interesting because he seems sincere there too. What's really odd is he got a lot of criticism for this apology, but it seems like it's a pretty good apology. I remember he got criticized for posting this on a channel that wasn't his main channel, and he got criticized for kind of obfuscating the details about the sexual assault. But he seems like he genuinely feels awful about what happened, and it's not just for him, just the whole fallout for everybody. And that's really hard. And maybe it is for his career. I can't read his mind, but when I watch this video, I don't see a bad person struggling to justify why he did what he did. I see somebody who is genuinely sorry, trying to communicate with people in a way that they understand. And maybe that's naive because I don't know David, but this apology video doesn't, I would be willing as an audience member to forgive David for what he did here, because he just seems a little ignorant of how things are with his fame. And I don't blame him. I don't think anybody's built for fame. David is just like us, he's just like a dude, and then he became famous for working really hard at something, and now he's just kind of isolated and has to figure out a way to apologize to 20 million people in a way that all of them are going to understand. That's literally an impossible task. That's why I make fun of apology videos. That being said, though, he got a lot of flack for this and eventually released another video that a lot of people say is a lot better. So we're going to watch that next.
Hi guys, it's 1:45 in the morning, and I'm finally by myself, which I know doesn't sound that crazy to be by yourself at 1:45 in the morning, but this week's been pretty hectic, and there have been a lot of people around telling me what to do, giving me advice, trying to help me, most importantly, and that was a lot, and now I just wanna be able to do this and just shoot straight into the camera and just talk to you guys. I've put myself in a lot of.
So this is a really interesting way to open up the video. It's very different from how he opened the other video up. It's kind of more rooted in the present. He's talking about what's going on in his life, and he's prefacing the video by saying it's a really serious situation. I like that he's doing that because I think a lot of the time we view these people as characters in a TV show and not real people, but it's just him in the room and his camera. And I think that if there's a way to apologize, that's how you should do it as a YouTuber. Obviously, the best way to apologize is face-to-face, but this feels like face-to-face, more so than the last one did. But so far, I've already forgave him in the other video, but so far, this is a better environment for more people to forgive him.
Situations where I've needed to apologize for my past actions, and I've never done this correctly, and I've never done this respectfully, and my last video is a testament to that. I don't want to defend that video. I don't want to delete that video. I just want to be clear what this video.
So he's talking about the fact that he obfuscated the sexual assault in his first video, which I think he did do, and that is, bad to do. You have to be honest. I think one thing about forgiveness is you need to be honest. If you lie to somebody and then they forgive you for what you lied to them about, it doesn't feel the same as if you're being authentic. And I have all the context now, so I kind of gave you guys all the context, but at the time a lot of people didn't know the stuff that I said. So I think that's what he's talking about how in his last video it just wasn't as clear. So I think it's great that he's trying to be clear. I think it sucks that he kind of left that by the wayside. I like think that if you're going through all the effort to apologize, you may as well tell the truth and like let things fall where they may. It's just a better way to live life. Like I think somebody said that like if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember what you said. So just tell the truth, because not everyone's going to like you, but if you like you, like telling the truth is a great way to get you to like you, basically.
It's not going to be me discrediting Trisha, Kat, or any other woman involved. I'm going to be using words that may trigger some survivors, and that's just so I don't explain anything vaguely, and I can explain every situation appropriately. I want to start this video off by saying I fully believe the woman who came out against Dom and said she was by him. As it was reported, the next day I got consent to post the video. Even though I got the consent to post that video, I should have never posted it. And what I understand now, and I didn't understand before, is that she sent that text because she felt like she had to, not because she wanted to.
He seems like genuinely remorseful for what he did. And I think that this is the feeling that I was picking up on in his last video that he didn't share, is he's very emotional because he feels for the girl who got assaulted. And like, I feel for her too. It's a horrible situation. And by the way, it doesn't mean that the guy who did it isn't redeemable too. He is. He's not a monster. He's a human being. He fucked up too. It's a different video. I don't know if I'm ever going to make that video, but the point is David is taking accountability, like actual accountability. Accountability gets thrown around a lot about like, you know, like it's like, oh, I'm taking accountability. It's like, this actually feels like he is. He's like taking the responsibility for what he did in like posting the video where a crime takes place. And that is really commendable of him. I know that like he also got accused of, this video came out really late. Like a lot of this stuff was going on months before, and he finally released this video. I think that people will need their own time to process things. Like at the time, I remember when all of it was going on, I was like, why did he take so long? I was like pissed, but genuinely like sometimes you just need time to process. Like if you're going through something, like take your time, especially if it's a big situation like this, affects your whole life. Like I actually really applaud him for doing that, because he's coming across good here, but also it seems like he's really feeling the emotions. And I think that I'm much more inclined to forgive someone who is genuinely feeling remorse for what they did, as opposed to just like trying to get forgiveness really quick, you know?
And that's fucked up. And I'm sorry. When she later reached out a couple months later to take the video down, I immediately took it down. And I want to apologize to her and her friends for ever putting them in an environment that I enabled that made them feel like their safety and values were compromised. I'm so sorry. I was completely disconnected from the fact that when people were invited to film videos with us, especially videos that relied on shock for views or whatever it was, that I was creating an unfair power dynamic. I did not know this before. It was
I believe him. I actually believe him when he said that. Like I said earlier, it's like he was a kid and then suddenly he was a superstar. It's like there was not ever like a point in which he got like media trained or whatever. Like he probably just didn't understand that they didn't view him as just like one of them, and they viewed him as like, oh my God, this is David Dobrik. Like we have to do whatever he says. And even though that is stupid and I wouldn't do that, like a lot of people really do feel that way about famous people, and famous people seem really lonely to me. Like this video, I don't know what it is about it, but he seems really lonely here. And I kind of just want to give him a hug, even though I don't like condone his actions. I think it's important to remember that like actions can be good and bad. And we can all agree that the actions that David's friend did are bad. But I genuinely don't believe that people are bad. I think that people sometimes just get caught up in these bad cycles, and they don't realize that they're doing stuff that hurts people, and it just turns into a big thing. And and then lives end up getting ruined or lives end up getting lost. And it's just like the way out of that is unconditional love and forgiveness for yourself. Like, David clearly hates himself in this video. I'm like not gonna bullshit you. Like, he seems like he's really upset. And I just wish, I hope now, because it's been a couple years, I hope now he knows that he's worthy of love. Because even though, and not for his videos, by the way, he's worthy of love because he's a human being. And I think that, like, nobody talks about that when people get canceled, but, like, he's a human being too. Like, a human being got hurt, but he's a human being too. And, like, the way that people actually change is when they feel safe enough to love themselves enough to change their behavior. And it's like, he doesn't feel safe and he doesn't love himself. So, like, how's he going to change? Like, I know he's apologizing. He seems remorseful, but, like, I don't know. It's just like this whole landscape is so crazy.
Completely wrong, and I wish I was more responsible, and I wish I was more aware at the time, and I'm so sorry I missed that. I didn't know what was going on in that room, and I should have been. I should have been there, and I should have been making sure that everybody involved was taken care of and wasn't uncomfortable. I don't want to use buzzwords to try to justify this.
Yeah, I believe him when he talks about this. Like, it seems like he was filming and he was caught up, and then this crime happened, and, like, if God went up to him and was like, do you want to know if crimes are being committed when you're filming? I think he would have said yes. Like, it's killing him. Like, it's like, look at his face. Like, it's eating him inside. And it's just like, yeah. So it's just, like, hard to see, you know, because I feel for him even though he's in the wrong, and it's just like a weird human feeling. I mean, like, when was the last time you kind of had that feeling of, like, feeling for somebody even though they're in the wrong? Like, it's something we're built to do. It's a feeling we have, but it's not something we experience when we go on social media. So,
or explain this, but all I can say is people felt like they had to be silent for the sake of my video, and that's not right, and it's fucked up, and I'm sorry. I also want to acknowledge the women that spoke out against Dom in 2018. I'm talking about Allie, and then I'm talking about other girls that addressed their problems privately or publicly. I'm sorry I didn't listen to you guys.
He seems genuine there too. I mean, I guess this guy Dom was, like, assaulting a lot of women. I don't really know a lot about that, but David seems like somebody who doesn't let that stuff go if he knows about it, or at least now he does. Maybe back then he was. And I think that all of us, if we, like, think for more than a second, we don't want our friends out here hurting people. Like, that's not something that I stand for my friends. That's a conversation that I got to have with them. And the important thing is, David probably still feels like this guy is his friend, even though he's really disappointed in him. And, like, that feeling is not okay on social media. Like, he couldn't say that. He would be raked over the coals. But it's true. So it's just, I don't know.
I am sorry that I took Dom's word for what happened in those certain situations, and I didn't believe you. And not only did I not believe you, but I made a joke of what kind of a person Dom was, because I couldn't wrap my head around a childhood friend of mine doing this to people and actually hurting people, and I'm sorry for that. Not only did I discredit you, Allie, but I platformed Dom. And not only did I platform Dom, but I platformed the subject of sex in a negative way, where I made jokes about it, and I reinforced that kind of behavior. And I'm so sorry, and I really let not only you down, but a lot of people down, a lot of people that watch me and my friends and family for that. I made the decision.
You know what's weird is I watched this video when it came out, and I don't remember this part, but that seems like real honesty of, like, yeah, I messed up. Like, I reinforced something that's really bad, and I'm kind of a bad person for that, or that was a really bad action that I did. and I'm going to admit that I did a bad action, and I'm going to say sorry for it. And it doesn't excuse the action, but it is honest. And I think that is really, it seems like this is exactly why he needed to take some time to think about this, because now I mean, earlier I was ready to forgive him because of how scared he was and how uncertain. This, he seems like he has more clarity on what he did. And, just because it's easy for me to forgive doesn't mean that I don't know when somebody's really ready for change and when they're not. Here, he really does seem ready for change. And, especially that, that's some sincerity from David that I've never seen before.
Decision to no longer film with Dom in 2019, and I'm not saying my content has been brilliant since then, but that's when I first started taking into account the power dynamic and what influence I had on people that I was filming with. But what I didn't do is I didn't go back to any of these women and apologize. I kind of moved on, and I learned from it and I grew from it, but I didn't address the situation with these women. I'm not talking publicly, I'm saying even privately. I didn't reach out to any of these people, and that breaks my heart, knowing that I was doing all this stuff and I was making all this content while there was people that were still really hurt by what I made before my content shifted.
Yeah, I mean, that is really messed up. Like I said, it's a messed up action to just be on the content grind and just leave people in the dust like that. That is abandonment, and that's a bad action. But that doesn't mean that David's bad, And the fact that he's recognizing it shows that he's ready to change that behavior. He's ready to not abandon people anymore like he did. And obviously he's crying. And I think that crying, it gets a lot of flack on YouTube. But crying is sincerity, and especially from a man, that is, I respect that. I don't know. I can't help but respect that.
To be more responsible and positive, I said and did things that were really offensive, and I called them bad jokes, and I can't even call them bad jokes, and it was cowardly of me to say in my last apology that I missed the mark, because it's fucking gross, and I'm sorry. A lot of
Yeah, so he's talking about how, earlier he's like, oh, I missed the mark. That's kind of, writing it off, but, he's being more serious here. To be honest, knowing everything I know now, I don't really have an issue with that language. I'm also not, a PC police type of person, so I don't really do that sort of thing. But for me, when somebody's apologizing, whether or not I accept their apology, for the most part, has to do with how they are feeling. If they're feeling great all the time, or they're just kind of putting on a face, you can tell, right? This doesn't feel like he's putting on a face. This feels like he's being genuine. And if people are being genuine, even if they're not doing the right thing, you should be genuine back. And even if you're not ready to forgive, maybe you're ready to say you're not ready and be authentic with them. Maybe that authenticity will help them grow.
People reached out to me saying cancel culture is bullshit and you need to fight back and you need to call people out, and I don't agree with how this should be taken at all. And I think when there is a crisis,
I don't know if that's real, to be honest with you. His team to me strikes me as, I mean, maybe somebody said that to him, but he's a social media guy. I mean, that's not how you deal with stuff on social media, but yeah, I agree with him that it's the wrong way to go about it.
There's a serious opportunity to correct yourself, to learn and improve, and to make sure those mistakes don't happen again. And that's why it is so important to hold yourself accountable. And I think with this situation, there's a lot I can look at and there's a lot I can learn from, but there's a lot of mistakes that I made, and I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry for everybody I've let down. I'm sorry to my family, and I'm sorry to my friends that I've embarrassed, and that this won't happen again. I'm gonna take a short break from all this.
Yeah, I mean, I forgive him. It seems like he knows all the stuff that he did that was wrong, and he feels for them, and he's sorry about it. And I think that he seems like a changed guy after this. And, in his videos, afterwards, he doesn't do any of this stuff. He really did change. I think people give him flack for later. There was a thing with his friend and an excavator, and somebody got hurt, and then probably this stuff happen again, but that was different from the stuff that he's talking about here. And like, at least for the stuff in this video, like, I think I'm ready to forgive him. And also, I unconditionally love him, not because he's a great director or whatever, but because he's a human and he's being authentic. And I think that when people are being authentic, they should be heard and listen and understood and loved.
Social media stuff, because I realize there's a serious lack of infrastructure when I make any kind of content, and I want to be able to have a place of checks and balances. I want to have HR, and I want to be able to have people communicate discomfort in a way that's comfortable to them, and where they don't feel like their emotions or what they're doing or how they're acting is compromised. It doesn't feel right to go back to posting like I have been, and it also doesn't feel right to go dark, because I love what I do. But I think it is important to show that change is possible and that I'm learning. Maybe even forgiveness is possible. I want to use this opportunity.
Yeah, forgiveness is definitely possible. In fact, like, I'm pretty easy to forgive, to be honest with you. Like, I don't think people forgive the way I forgive mostly. Sometimes people do, but for the most part, like, the way I forgive is I genuinely unconditionally love everybody. And when people make mistakes, I do give them unconditional forgiveness most of the time. Almost always. If they're being honest, I give that. My camera died, sorry. But like I was saying, like, I'm easy to forgive, but even for a normal person, I think if somebody owns up to their mistake and says that they won't do it again, and they are coming from a place of genuine pain and remorse and want to not do it again, most people are willing to forgive. I just think that there was so much heat and it was so toxic that people didn't really accept it, but I don't know.
To step up and own my mistakes. And like I said before, I've never done apology the right way. And I'm sure I'm going to look back at this and I'm going to be pissed at some things that I didn't say, or I wish I could have added more. But
wow, he's like reading my mind here. Like, yeah, I think that people have way too high standards for themselves when it comes to apologies. And this is what I'm talking about like his self-hatred, where it's like you could just see him beating himself up. And it's so hard because, like, who hasn't made a mistake? Like, I know that he really messed up, and like he messed up on a huge scale because of how famous he is. But like, he's not unforgivable. He's not unlovable because of this mistake he made. And I think that people who think that people are unforgivable, they start thinking that people are unlovable, like unworthy of love. And like, that is just, like, there's no way to stop suffering in the world if people aren't allowed to be loved, you know?
This is my beginning to that, and I'm sorry for everybody that I hurt. I also want to add that I'm making myself available to anyone that wants to reach out that I've hurt in the past. I want to be able to hear and understand from yourselves, and I'll be reaching out on my own to some people because I still have a lot of learning to do. And I think when you talk to other people, especially about experiences like this, it really helps you see things in a different way. But yeah, I'm sorry if this video was all over the place. I just wanted to sit and talk and ramble, and I really truly hope that
that's exactly what we wanted from him. I think that that's what a real apology is. It's unlinear, but you're being honest and you're working through your feelings, and he did all that. Like, again, I'm ready to forgive him for that. Like, it doesn't seem like he's hiding. People said that he was hiding. People were saying that he was lying, but he doesn't seem like he's lying. He seems like he's genuinely remorseful for his part of the things that went on, and literally is just beating himself up for it. And I really feel for the guy.
Someone can take something away from this experience that another creator can take away from this. And I know it feels, because I know how crazy it felt to me that there was some sort of toxicity or some sort of power dynamic in my friend group. But really just take the moment, especially when creating content that you're trying to get viewership out of, or you're trying to get laughs out of. Like, really take a moment and look at where the jokes end and where the feelings begin, because I think that's so incredibly important.
Wow, that is like really wise. I think this is the end of the video.
I'll see you guys. Bye.
Yeah, that was like really wise and profound. I didn't see his like warning to other creators. Like that's really, whew, I got chills from that because like I'm a creator, right? I don't make videos like that, but like, thanks, David, for like saying that about like where the joke ends, where the feelings begin. Like, it is hard to love and forgive like this and do comedy. Like, I have comedy videos on my channel. Because you just, you want to make sure that everybody's laughing at the end of the day and nobody is the clown. You know what I mean? Um, so anyway, I'm willing to forgive David after this. I think that like just closing the chapter on like the cancel David train, at least for me, because he was my favorite YouTuber for a long time. Like, I think that that's good. And also just like, if there's anybody in your life who you like haven't forgiven yet, always remember that like forgiveness isn't for them. It's for you. Like if you forgive, you can do anything after forgiving somebody. Like you can be free in forgiveness. But when you're blaming somebody, you're just beating yourself up for something that somebody else did. And yeah, I think I'll end it there. Don't subscribe. Bye, guys.